The new school way is we need to create high volume content that's highly unique for our business. So that way AI search trusts us so that it should have share of voice. When we talk about that agentic search, human eyeballs are not going to matter. The agent or search is scraping your website and then coming back to their platform and recommending things. The website still matters because it's your hub for knowledge. In the next 5 to 10 years, this is going to be the complete shift. Just like people from Yellow Pages to Google first movers won, how can we be a first mover to AI search? High volume, high quality. Because LLMs, large language models, are trained on content.
This is the Relentless Pursuit of Winning podcast, where we are here to educate, equip, and inspire people to build extraordinary companies. We're so glad you're here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so that you can get updates every time we drop a new episode. Now, let's get it started. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Relentless Pursuit of Winning podcast. My name is Rick Meekins. I am going to be your host as usual. And in our studio, we have Phil Risher. How are you today?
Hey, Rick, doing good, man. I'm really excited to talk with you. I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's great to have you back again. Our last conversation was awesome. And if you didn't see it or hear it, you're going to want to check that out. But today, we're going to talk about AI search. This is going to be an interesting conversation. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I'm excited to learn.
Awesome.
Folks, if you haven't done it already, I'd be honored if you'd like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you can get updates every time we drop a new episode. And without further ado, let's get to it. You know, Phil, for the folks that haven't met you before, I would love it if you just give us a brief recap on who you are, what you do, and why you do what you do.
Yeah, Phil Risher. I'm the owner of Flash Consulting. We work with $1 million to $10 million home service businesses, and we help them use digital marketing technology to grow their business. And a big shift, what we're going to talk about is like AI search and what does that mean for businesses in general. Why do I do what I do? I'm a Christian. I believe in multiplying my talents, not just hiding them under a rock. So it's like, got to get after it and help people. And so, yeah, that's why I do what I do. That's what we do.
I love it. You know, it's interesting. I do see like emails periodically talking about is your company showing up in AI search? And you know, first thing I want to know is what is the significance of this? I mean, we spent so many years, you know, learning just regular search engine optimization, and I think there's a lot of people that may have gotten jaded, by it. It's just like, hey, I put all this time and effort and and I didn't get results. What's the significance? What is different about AI search?
Yeah, so this is the big shift. Yellow Pages to Google was a big shift. Everyone that had a front page on the Yellow Pages in 1999 was like, okay, I'm good. And Google, you guys are silly. No one's going to go online and do this stuff. They're going to go to the phone book. That's exactly what we're experiencing right now. And this is not me overblowing it. Like literally last month, the Google CEO, Dar Pichai, did an interview. And he was talking that by 2027, there will be what's called agentic search. And what that means is that the way that we have searched historically is completely shifting. And this is the CEO saying these things, and there's a lot of money on the line for him to talk about this stuff. But essentially, Rick, before you would go to Google, you type in a certain keyword and you get a list of blue links, and then you would go to the websites and try to decide who you wanted to work with or what you wanted to do. That is completely shifting in two ways. One is what's called agentic search, which is now agents are actually going out and finding information and coming back to you to tell you information and linking out to people that they think would be the best fit.
Okay.
Two is the way people search. Right now, people search different than what they did even 3 years ago. 3 years ago, you would type in like HVAC repair near me or, 4 to 5 words and then get a list and then you would kind of figure it out from there.
Yeah.
Now, people are having conversations with search.
Yeah.
The average AI conversational search has 347 words. The average Google search has 4.
Yeah.
So there's two big shifts that are happening. And what it means for businesses in general is that the way people find you is changing. And you can't just rely on Google search, SEO, the whole thing like that. It's actually a whole different strategy that you need to be doing for your business. And it shifts what you've been taught for the last 20 years of business into how people find you online.
That's good stuff. So right now, when I go to search, when I go to Google, I'll, as you said, I might go in at this point, to your point, I'll go in and I'll ask a question rather than just straightforward, like you say, 4 keywords or whatever. And what I'm seeing is a few blue links and then I'm seeing a paragraph. And in the paragraph, it might have like my search terms highlighted and expand on the idea. It sounds like you're talking about even going beyond that, or what are we looking at? What are we looking forward to?
Yeah. So there's several different layers to this. What you're referring to is what's called AI overviews.
Okay.
And Google, when you search something, it will show you those links and then it will give you that overview section. Neil Patel, he's a big SEO guy. He did a study on this. So when you search 0 to 4 words, there's a AI overview about 20% of the time. 4 to 6 words is about 50% of the time shows an AI overview. But when you go over 7 words, it's 70% of the time shows an AI overview.
Nice.
So what this means is that you can create content to be shown in that AI overview. The reason that this is important, Rick, is because there was a study done and about 80% of boomers,
Hmm.
they still use Google search like what you're talking about. Like go to Google search, traditional Google search and search on there.
Yeah.
And the AI overviews is one of the sections. Are they going to ChatGPT and Claude and all these other things and like doing all that? Probably not.
Yeah.
But as you skew younger and younger demographics, the way that this report showed that the way that people search is different. For example, Gen Z, 46% of Gen Z, when they go and do a local search, they use Google. So half of them don't even use Google for local searches at all or any type of search. They're using social media, they're using
Yeah.
AI platforms, they're using other methods of search that
Uh-huh.
boomers don't do. Why does this matter? Because right now you might be going on to Google and searching and finding an AI overview, which is fine. It's going to continue to shift to more of an agentic search,
Yeah.
which is agents actually finding it.
Yeah.
But as the younger crowd starts owning homes or getting more into the higher ticket searches that people would want, they are not searching on Google. That's like what we've been doing for the past 20 years.
Right, right. So you've talked about agentic search several times, and so I'm curious in terms of what the significance is. How is that selecting the I'll call it the correct data? I look at the AI overview, and sometimes I'm looking at the sources of that, and I'm just like, these seem like opinions off of Reddit. Sometimes, I mean, what's the reliability there?
Yeah, for sure. So this is a whole thing, which is how do you create content that gets shown in AI overviews? Because it is such a pillar part of the equation to your point. So there's a couple things. One, before SEO, you used to track what's called rankings, right? You would have your keywords and then you would track your rankings. And if your rankings were going up, then your SEO was working and you would be higher up in the results. So you get more clicks.
Yeah.
With AI search, there's no rankings because there's no rankings happening on anything.
Wow.
So it's a shift from keywords to conversations. And the shift from keywords to conversations shifts how you would even track this stuff. And the way that you track it is through prompts. And prompts would be what are the questions that your customers are asking? And then there's no way that you can track ranking. So there's two terms. There's share of voice and mention rate.
Hmm.
And share of voice means how much percentage are you shown on a certain prompt? And then how many times are you cited on that prompt for it to be shown? So that's kind of to get the more technical things, but I'll give you something that's very easy to digest for someone who's listening to this. Essentially, you, Rick, and business owners need to be creating content that your customers are actually searching for online.
Hmm.
Because right now, most people, marketing companies included, are going to ChatGPT and starting their content creation there. They're saying, I own a da 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 business and I want to make a blog post or social media post. What should I say?
Hmm.
Well, ChatGPT, large language models, they already know that stuff. They don't want more of what they already know. They want
Hmm.
new things.
Hmm.
So what we do and what we recommend to people is we actually take real call transcripts. So if you record your calls using a Fathom, like, on Zoom, or
Yeah.
like our clients are home service businesses. So we record their calls that come in from people that need a toilet replaced or something. Those call transcripts have the real questions that your customers are asking. And you need to start there with your content creation. And when you start there, you're answering the real questions your customers are asking, and you need to answer them online. Now, another point to this is that you can't just rely on blog posts. You can't just rely on videos. You can't just rely on social posts because when we talk about the share of voice,
Yeah.
it's all about how many times you show up in different platforms and different ways of saying things. So, a long winded way to tell you that with AI overviews, it's not about rankings and it's about creating a lot of content with those questions in there so that way they recognize you as an authority in the space.
Okay. So let's start, really at the ground level here. I mean, we're, again, looking at search engine optimization, we're starting at our website. We're making sure our websites, have the right keywords, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Where does the website in and of itself, sans any blog posts, podcasts, et cetera, where does that fit into the equation?
Yeah, and this is another big shift is that when we talk about that agentic search, which we can talk more about that, historically, people made websites and created content for human eyeballs.
Right.
But if human eyeballs are not going to matter because there's no links, what matters is that the agent or search is scraping your website and then coming back to their platform and recommending things. The website still matters because it's your hub for knowledge, but so do all the other digital assets that you have, like your YouTube, your Instagram, your TikTok, your local directories, your local stuff in local other places. But a lot of times when we think of traditional SEO, it's creating content so that it ranks on these platforms. It's not about that anymore. So some of the pillar pages that people can have for AI search is like having a pricing guide on your website.
Hmm.
The reason a pricing guide is so important is because people go to Google and they say, okay, I want to hire a coach for this thing, or I want to hire a plumbing company. How much does it typically cost to do this? If you have a page on your website that explains what makes the price go up, what makes the price go down, what's in a good
Mm,
price in this area,
mm,
now the agent, the AI search, the LLM has something to pull from.
mm,
Another
mm.
really important one is online scheduling. When we talk about this agentic search, I know I've been teasing that topic. Right now in Google Labs, there is an agent that you can turn on that you can ask it to go and find a restaurant for this Friday, an Italian restaurant that has availability at 5 p.m. that has the best fettuccine. And it's going to go and find it, come back to you and say, here's the places. Do you want me to reserve this for you? Yes. And then we'll reserve it through OpenTable and Resi. It's already there. So imagine if you're a business and that model is taken to your business.
Yeah,
I'm looking for a coach and how much should I be paying for something like this? No, I'm looking for the best coach that has the best reviews, that's the authority in this space that talks specifically about this thing.
yeah.
I want to set up a meeting with them. It's going to go out onto your website and find all of that information, and you have to give it the information to then show in its prompt.
Wow, wow, wow. I mean, it sounds like a whole different type of website architecture. I mean, I guess, going into the back end a little bit. I mean, we think in terms of robots being able to access different pages, et cetera, et cetera. But it sounds like this is a different conversation than that.
Yeah, when we talk about creating content before, a lot of business owners we work with, it's like, oh, I don't like the way that looks, this
Yeah,
blog. I don't like how that sounds. It just doesn't sound like what someone would like. Most people are not going to your blog and just skimming through it and reading about toilets or whatever you do, you know?
yeah,
Like, it's nice to think that, but are they really doing that? Probably not. So, the way that you create content, again, is not for the human as much anymore. It's more so that you can serve up the dish for the agent to be able to easily understand this. So, for example, when you create what's called GEO optimized content, it's generative experience optimization, you would structure a blog post different than what you used to do. The way you used to do it was like enter someone into a story, like, okay, so you might be thinking this, and like, let me talk to you about this, and very storytelling. Now it's about, okay, here's your question. Here's a quick blurb for your answer that it could cite in the AI overview section to get a quick snippet information. Then it's like, here's some frequently asked questions that come from this. And you're basically prompting it with like a question answer vibe that's very unique to your business, not slop.
wow. How, I guess, just thinking about this from a user perspective, how quickly, so we have the agentic search that is happening next year, but how quickly are users going to adapt this? Because, like you were saying before, boomers are still, using the forward search or going to, they're looking at the list or going to the website. What does that transition kind of look like? If you have like a gut feel about that.
Yeah, well, what I can tell you is that you even mentioned your experience with AI overviews and it introducing that. And then in AI overviews, you can actually expand it into AI mode and ask it more questions right there.
Right.
So what Google's trying to do is to craft that transition so that boomers can experience the transition and not be like, "Oh my gosh, what's going on?" So they're slowly iterating on that search engine results page to make it more of an agent style, AI mode style interaction. And
Yeah.
just like the CEO was saying that by 2027, I believe that it's going to pretty much be shifted over there. If you were to look at it like on a weekly basis, there are things changing on Google search engine results page that are subtle, that every time it's like a little different, a little bit different. And
Yeah.
it's slowly working its way towards that. And what I would tell people is if you're paying for like SEO, search engine optimization, or you're trying to do SEO, you need to be having a conversation with the company and also thinking about like what does it look like for AI search, because I'm telling you, like, in the next 2 to 3 years it's going to be shifting that way, whether
Mhm.
it looks different or not. The way that you show up has to be different.
So how does this work with respect to? I mean, we were getting dinged, so to speak, for mobile optimization and that sort of thing, like the actual user experience. How does that change in the overall? I'll use the term algorithm.
Yeah, so like another example that comes up a lot is like page load speed time.
Yeah,
And if your
exactly.
website doesn't load fast enough, then Google's going to say, I don't want to send people here, because then they might click away and they might not trust us because we send them to a slow website or something like that. And
Hmm.
those things are still true to some
Okay.
extent because you want the information to be sourced properly as fast as possible.
Yeah.
So it matters, the actual technical side of it matters a little bit more because you need to have what's called schema markup. You need to
Yeah.
have things outlined with like H2, H3, H4s, all nice, perfectly packaged up for this agent. So it
Right.
can say, serve it up perfectly.
Okay.
It takes a little bit more of a technical side of it, but it is much more important. And this is why that whole GEO, generative experience optimization, is a thing, or AEO, answer engine optimization, is a thing. It's basically just trying to design content that's optimized for the AI platforms.
Outstanding, outstanding. I guess before we jump into really into the pool with Agentic, where do we go just in terms of understanding a little bit more about what we need to do? I mean, if we're building a
Yeah, yeah.
website right now, if we're putting the money into building a website right now, we need to be able to say, hey, we need to do this and not that, or we need to focus on a particular area.
Yeah. I want to say this pretty loud and clear. Like, I own a marketing company for home service businesses, and we're still running the same SEO playbook that we've been doing for the past 5, 10 years. Like,
Hmm.
it still works. And not only that, it still helps you with your AI search.
Right. Okay.
So I'm not saying like don't do any of that. Still do the like title tags, meta descriptions, H1s, building out your services pages, building out service area pages, about us, like all those things still matter
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
And I don't think that, oh my gosh, in 2027, no one's going to go to website and all of these things. In
Okay.
the next 5 to 10 years, this is going to be the complete shift. So it's more about like how can you be a first mover, just
Right.
like people from yellow pages to Google first movers. One, how can we be a first mover to AI search?
Exactly.
So to answer your question, like still build a website, still do all the technical things that your SEO company would tell you to do. We would do the exact same thing. However, here's how you kind of hedge against what's changing. You have to start creating real content for your business. You cannot rely on a marketing company that does not use real content. And the reason that I say this is because I know firsthand, you hire a marketing company and they're going to market you and they're posting slop up there just to say that they're showing things for algorithms because this is what
Hmm.
they have done for years, right?
Hmm.
My
Hmm.
company included. But it's shifting. And the way that you shift is you answer real customer questions inside of your content. So you need to be making the videos, the blog posts, and having a flow of that. And the companies that win, they're going to make different content types. So they're not just going to do blogs, they're going to do videos and blogs and social posts and email content and all that. And they're going to do a high volume of it. This is going to be the next edge.
Hmm.
High volume, high quality.
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
LLMs, large language models, are trained on content.
Hmm.
So if they already know all this stuff, you got to teach them new stuff about your business. You got to build
Hmm.
trust with them with new stuff for your business. So that's
Hmm.
kind of the shift that's happening. So continue to do what you do, but there's another layer that you have to do.
Okay. Okay. Let's jump into the agentic pool. Go into that. Tell us a little bit more about what we should expect.
Yeah. So when we talk about, well, the agentic side of things is from AI search. Imagine you use AI search and you ask it questions, and then right now it still cites a source.
Hmm.
It's not going to be citing a source anymore. It's going to be going out and doing the research for you and coming back to you. So imagine you're going to, hey, I'm planning a trip to go to Barcelona with my wife, and I want you to plan out my whole itinerary. And here's my budget. It's not only going to be able to plan it out, but it's going to be able to schedule everything for you. So that's what an agent will allow you to do. And you're going to have agents doing a bunch of tasks for you. Like this is already happening with a lot of agents, but in search in particular, this is what they're shifting to in Google, ChatGPT, Claude. You already see all these agents that you can build out and do things.
Yeah.
Imagine you have your personal agent that can do stuff for you that knows all about your stuff. Like it's pretty much already there. What I will say about the creating content, because I mentioned we built an agent for how to create content.
Hmm.
So what we do is we take our customers' call transcripts. Anytime a call is longer than 3 minutes. So imagine a plumber, someone calls in, hey, my toilet's leaking. I checked under here, checked under there. That call has a lot of golden nuggets in it. So we take that call transcript and then we turn it into an AEO optimized blog post, video hooks, and social media content straight from the customer's questions with whatever their team member said about the information.
Yeah.
And now every single call is a piece of content.
Right.
And I can't stress
Right.
that enough for any business. It's like every call that you have, you should be recording it and turning it into content.
Wow. That's crazy because what's happening in my mind, and of course, it sounds like we're building the infrastructure to support that. But the amount of content that is going to be generated, I mean, just from this idea is astronomical.
Exactly. And this is what I was mentioning about the shift because for my company, we've been doing like one blog post a month because it's like, okay, we need to post content based off our content calendar and we need to have things up there that people see, which is all fine and well, but that's the old school way.
Yeah.
The new school way is we need to create high volume content that's highly unique for our business. So
Yeah.
that way AI search trusts us so that it have share of voice. It
Yeah.
mentions us in their content. It goes
Yeah.
to our website. Like that is the next level.
Real quick, what can we anticipate not doing anymore? Since we have to do, and I hate to kind of shift in that direction, but we're doing newsletters, we're doing LinkedIn, we're doing all of these personal content creation. I mean, what is it that we could probably start slowing down on in lieu of increasing the general content that we're creating?
Yeah. I'll say two things on this. First, traditionally, and it's really bad in home service, which is the target audience that I serve,
Hmm.
because when we think of creating content, do we if we create a content piece about fixing someone's toilet,
Yeah.
they're going to go to Google when they need someone to fix their toilet. They're not going to Facebook, Instagram,
Right.
TikTok, right? So I used to believe this as well. Was like, why would I make content if my target audience is going to Google to search for things?
Right.
Of course, that makes sense. So what I'm telling you is that it's not about likes, shares. It's not even about someone seeing you on Instagram and reaching out to your business. It's
Right.
about creating content that gets indexed so that
Right.
way large language models and AI search trust your business.
Right.
It's a complete shift from make content, get customers
Right.
to make
Right.
content and create content that the algorithm, the AI platforms trust.
Right.
So, like, what can you stop doing is stop thinking that way because it's not just make content, get customers. It's make content so that way you have indexed content base pool. The other thing that's going to shift is ads because ads are going to get more and more expensive and the way that ads are shown are going to get very, very different. Because imagine Google, this is why it's such a big shift for them. Like 70% of their revenue or something is Google ads.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if we're saying, hey, agents are going to be the ones that are doing the work for you, where do ads show up in this platform?
Exactly.
Right. And this is why it's such a big pivotal piece that the CEO of Google is even talking about this because they don't, how are they gonna make money off this and kill
Right.
this other thing? That's yet to be determined. But this is the part of the first mover opportunity. Because when Google ads were brought in from Yellow Pages, Google
Hmm.
ads were very inexpensive to run. And then they slowly got more and more expensive at the time. It's about
Yeah.
to shift again to that as well.
Interesting, interesting, interesting. I think I want to ask the question, and I think this is like the age old question. What is it that Google wants? If you think about it from the perspective of, they have users that are searching. They have people that are, obviously we've got our advertisers. We've got, people that are trying to get seen on the web. What is it that Google wants that inspires them to show one thing over another
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
organically?
Yeah, and to be honest, this goes along for AI search or any other platform. Google has an algorithm that they call the EAT algorithm. It's
Hmm.
EEAT. So they want you to highlight your expertise. So how do you highlight your expertise? You talk about expert things, like real things that only an expert would know.
Right,
Only a brain surgeon would know that they did this project and then this thing happened and then this and da da da. Experience is the second E. They want to hear about your real experiences doing things. So the story that I just gave, they want to hear about experience of you actually doing this thing that you're giving expertise on. Authority is the A. So how can you build your authority? You could talk about that you've been doing this for 20 years, you have a PhD in this thing, you were cited in this thing,
hmm,
all the things that you would build authority with. And then the last one is trust. And how do you build trust? You have other platforms talking about you, linking to your stuff,
hmm,
being on podcasts,
hmm.
like building authority, trust, experience, expertise. It's the EAT algorithm. The reason that this is so important is not just like, yes, this is what Google wants from people. It's even more so in AI land, LLMs,
Yeah.
AI search. Because if you go to ChatGPT and you search for something and you click on the result and it's a bad experience and it's a bad place that you end up, you are not going to trust ChatGPT. You're not going
Right.
to trust Claude. You're not going to trust Google AI mode. And you're going to
Right.
say, wow, they steered me in the wrong direction. This
Right.
is how Google has been able to build this moat because we trust Google. It's our number
Right.
one referral partner. These other platforms are new. So what do they have to do? They have to skew even heavier to like the best stuff. They have to make sure that when they recommend things that it's actually really, really good because it's the
Right.
first shot that they have to build trust with these places. This is why it's so important to be creating the content and actually have a great experience where people can schedule online and do all the stuff because they need that from a business, which is why they are really, really focused on trustworthy companies.
Right. Right. So it's all about being able to keep users on the site, keeping people using Google over and over again. So they're enhancing the experience. They're making it like, hey, I can't go anyplace but Google. I've got to now turn Google into a verb, and I've got to Google stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I trust Google so much that I'm going to start my search there. I trust ChatGPT so much. I trust Claude so much. I trust Google AI mode. It's all about trust. And
Yeah.
I always tell people that Google's the number one referral partner in the world. It's your job to make them trust you. So how do you make them trust you? You have to feed them real stuff so that they trust you. With home service in particular, they have Google business profiles and Google reviews,
Hmm.
which most home service business owners know that that's a big part of ranking and trust with Google. For
Right.
other businesses, coaches and consultants and those types of businesses, they don't have reviews per se. That's like, how can Google show it? Which is why content is so important as that second tier.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes total sense. And, I mean, it's, saying it again, it's up to us, as, whatever business to demonstrate to Google that we are a trustworthy organization. Therefore, it is worth the time and the effort to put into learning how the system work.
That's right. And I'll give you one other secret sauce, secret thing on top of this, which when I tell people this, they're like, oh my gosh, I want to do this. So, like, I have a second brain for my business. It's me as a digital avatar.
Okay.
It's trained on all the content, all the podcasts, all the SOPs, everything that I've ever made. This podcast is going to go in there. And my team has access to this 24/7. They can ask it any question that they want, and it's going to cite the source, timestamp it, and tell them exactly what I would say to them based off all my content. Yes. So imagine a business owner who doesn't have any content to funnel into it. They got all the stories up here,
Yeah.
all the juice up here. You want this AI avatar for your business. After I just said it, you're like, yeah, how can I get one of those things? But you
Hmm.
don't have the content to funnel into it.
Hmm.
The next layer to this is imagine Google's agent is talking to your agent. Google's agent is talking to your avatar that knows everything about your business. Inside of your sales process, you have an avatar that your customers can interact with and ask questions to. It cites the sources, it talks to them just like you. The
Hmm.
problem is that if you don't believe this content thing, woo woo, you need the content in order to build that second brain for your business. If you don't
Right.
have the
Right.
content, you're not going to be able to build that. So it has two great things: large language models, AI search, but also this avatar that's out here that everyone wants, but no one has the data to feed it into.
So, question for you on that in particular. Do you have like your own large language model, or how are you making sure that I've seen a number of times with like Chat GPT or Chat. I'm just going to say
Yeah, yeah,
that one where the data has been put in there, but it didn't look through all of the data to make sure that
exactly.
what it was saying was accurate.
Exactly. So I made a video on this, how to create an AI avatar for your business,
Uh
a
huh.
home service business. But essentially, I'll give you the quick notes here. There's really, I would say, two ways to do this for a business. There's a free way and a paid way. The free way is there's a tool called Notebook LM, which is
Hmm.
a Google product.
Yeah.
Notebook LM allows you to drop in content. You get like 50 free sources, and then you could obviously pay for more. But essentially, imagine you drop in your website, your SOPs, your videos, and then there's these 50 sources that now is an LLM specifically on your business.
Okay.
It's not going to skew anything. It's literally an LLM for your business. So, like each one of our clients, we build one of these for them. We funnel their call transcripts into, we also funnel their call recordings with us into. So, we have this knowledge base as a marketing company that we can ask questions to about the business.
Okay.
That's the free way. The paid way is there's a tool called Delphi, DELPHI.ai. This is what I use.
Okay.
The reason I like Delphi is because it automatically pulls in my content. A new YouTube video goes up, pulls into the knowledge base. A new LinkedIn post goes out, pulls into my content. Now I have this knowledge base hub that's constantly getting refined that optimizes for the newest things that I said,
Yeah.
and my team can access it. We also sell this to people that are too small to work with us. If they're under $1 million, they can get access to my brain, ask it any question that they want, and it's going to help them.
Nice. Nice. Very nice. Very nice. That's awesome. And and I don't know if I heard this clearly. I got the impression you were saying that Google's agent would talk to your agent. Tell me that story. It
Yeah,
sounds kind of, I got to tell you, man, some of this stuff is kind of like edge for me.
that's why I
I
said it's a
grew up
little
in
woo woo.
I
That's why
grew
I
up
said
in
it's a
the
little.
80s, 90s, with, the Matrix and all of that.
I'm telling you, man, the technology is out there to do a lot of crazy things, right? It's just
Yeah.
about if we can unlock it in our brains.
Yeah.
So,
That's it
like,
right
I
there.
see a world where imagine you start working with a marketing company and you say, "Hey, cool, here's my agent. It's trained on everything. You can interact with it and it's going to help you know everything about my business, all the stories, all the context, all the everything that you need to know." Like,
Yeah.
that's already there right now.
Right.
So imagine there's an agent that every single business has this on their website or some digital platform. And then there's an agent out here that's your personal agent on Google that it can talk to and interact with. I mean, it's essentially that's what it's doing right now. It's just a
Right.
website and a search. It's just not labeled as agents.
Right, right, right. My brain is diverging. Let's go this direction. So I guess one thing that I was trying to understand with the Google agent, is that a personal agent for me that gets to know me and my search history and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so if you were to use so it's funny, my wife is a teacher, I was telling you pre-show, and, like, teachers are notoriously against AI for some, they don't want their kids using AI, they want them to be free, thinkers and not, like,
Yeah.
default to this, which I get, I don't disagree. I also mentioned to you that we have an 8-week-old son
Hmm.
and a 3-year-old daughter. The 3-year-old daughter, my wife would be Googling everything, like, reading blog posts, trying to figure out what the heck's going on with this kid. So the 8-week-old, I said, "Hey, babe, why don't you download Gemini?" Gemini is Google's AI, and just, like, ask me questions that you want. And then you don't have to go search and read all these blog posts and all these things. And more importantly, it's gonna learn that our son has reflux, which means he's up all the time. There's a whole another set of routines you have to do because this kid spits up all the time. So to your point, yes, it learns about you. about all your stuff, and it references back to conversations that you had before. And more
Yeah.
importantly, it interacts with you when you ask it questions. So now my wife's literally hooked on Gemini. She asks it like daily, like I mean, like 3 or 4 times a day. Like yesterday, we were giving my daughter a bath. She's like, I know, and she's like, I said, should I wake up our son and give him the bottle? She's like, I don't know, ask Gemini, see what he says. Like it's like everything ask Gemini. So to your point, yes, there is a rolling list. There's a history, a recall that happens, and it's only going to get smarter and smarter and
Yeah.
interact with you how you want to interact. Just like ChatGPT or these other platforms. The reason that Google though and Gemini is, in my opinion, one of the best platforms is because it can pull your emails if you use Gmail.
Hmm.
It can pull your website stuff from Google Analytics. It can
Yeah.
pull from Google Trends. It can pull from Google Search Console. It also owns YouTube, so it knows all the history from everything there, plus anything you've ever searched on Google if you use Google Chrome. So it has like this whole robust net about you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
imagine if it says, hey, Rick, here's your agent. It knows everything about you.
I hear the conversation that I hear is people are afraid, of that level of transparency, that the systems have, we, even looking below the surface levels, understanding our habits and that sort of thing and tracking that data. What are your thoughts? How do you advise people, in that part of the conversation if it comes up?
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing with electricity. They used to say it was ghosts, cameras, like it's
Cameras,
cell
microwaves.
phones. Yeah, cell phones, the iPhone, like, when Facebook came out, it was like, "Don't get on Facebook," MySpace, all the stuff.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. What I can tell you is that these large platforms that we use, Google, Meta, like Apple, they're all
Yeah.
ingrained in already what we do. They're
Yeah.
gonna force us to do this,
Yeah.
whether
Yeah.
we like it or not, and
Right.
you could be like, "No, I'm not gonna do it," which is fine, and I'm not saying if you don't wanna do this stuff that your business is gonna fail or something like that. Not at all. It's just where the future is heading and what most people are gonna be doing in the next 5 to 10 years, we're getting ahead of that.
Yeah, yeah. So let's look at the other side of that. I mean, what do you see the benefits? I mean, obviously there's that, showing up, there's the business side of things, but what do you see in perhaps like a bigger picture, in the marketplace overall? There's, so we look, just in your industries, home service businesses, there's,
Yeah.
50 of them right in my neighborhood. What is going to be the benefit of how is AI going to benefit them, in terms of being able to show up, for the right person at the right time?
Yeah, well, the home service market in particular that I serve, they want to use AI agents and tools.
Yeah.
For them to be able to have the tech stack or the time to devote to that, I don't think that they would be able to do it, which is why they would work with companies like ours or other companies that are building agent or AI platforms or agent first thinking that's going to help
Yeah.
support their business.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be a lot of opportunity for home service businesses. There already are like AI tools that are out there for home service businesses that they can plug into their business and start using these tools. So that's the first thing is that, especially in home service, there's not that many things. If you're like a coach, consultant, those types of companies, I would recommend that you get really deep into it because
Mm,
you could go on Claude and build something in a day that's going to help you.
yeah.
And you can literally just talk to it. We have a videographer on our team and he was asking me a question about creating a scorecard or something. So I was like, hey man, let's just pull up Claude and like talk to it. And then it built out a scorecard. So it's like, just
That's
talk to
easy.
it. And then I'm
Right?
not saying that home service business owners can't do that. What I am
Yeah.
saying is that if they are really focused on scaling their business, then they might not have the time or the focus to build those things, which is why they would want to work with a company that's already doing it and building it.
For sure, for sure. But I think it still comes down to a return on investment. Like I said, if there's 50 of them, like right in my area, that are in your, in your playground, what is going to be the benefit? It goes back to if everybody's doing the same thing,
Oh, I see
then
what you're saying.
nobody's benefiting.
This is exactly why real is going to win. Real content, real stories. Real is going to be the most authentic thing. Having real podcast interactions, having real B2B partnerships with other partners, because there's already a trust regression right now, like a recession. People don't trust people because they don't know if it's AI or slop or
Right.
whatever. It's going
Exactly.
to, there's going to default way more to the analog and real stuff. And so that's why it's going to be important to make sure that if you're going to use AI, right now there's an issue with this AI slop of like just creating junk from ChatGPT that a lot of people are
Yes.
facing. This is why the real is so important and starting from the real.
Yeah.
And this is what's going to be the difference for a lot of businesses.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I keep thinking about the idea that, and I don't know how deep this goes, obviously, but thinking about the idea of finding the right, home services company for me for right now, based on an agent. I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, I
I,
mean, we
I,
see it. Like we have clients
I
that
mean, the
literally,
conversation, is it like down to like personality? Is it down to how deep does that go?
yeah. Well, what we see right now, in-home service in particular, there's 2 parts in the sales process. The first one is, do I wanna work with this company? The second
Yeah.
thing is, do I wanna actually get my service done from them? Like, do I
Yeah.
wanna get a estimate from them? Do I wanna get the service done? So, in ChatGPT, the search would be like, "Looking for a good plumber near me that can come today," and then it will give you, like, the plumbing companies. Then you can ask it, "Okay, well, who's locally owned? Who has the best reviews? What happens if 1 star happens? Like, what happens if it's bad?
Yeah.
How much does it cost? What does this usually cost typically?" Just like a normal conversation that you would probably have with ChatGPT.
Right.
The first thing is, then they're gonna say, "Okay, do you wanna work with this company or not?" And then you call them and you set up a meeting. That's the first win. The second one is when you get the estimate or proposal from them,
Yeah.
now you got a lot more questions.
Yeah.
So you're gonna go to ChatGPT and you're gonna take that estimate, you're probably gonna plug it into ChatGPT and say, "Is this a reasonable price for this? What should I be doing with this? Is this right? Is it," and asking a lot of questions based off of, "When should I do this? How long should
Mm.
this take?" All those things.
Mm.
So that is like the real edge over here is like, how can I make that's the interaction is like, how can I make the first process so good so that they trust me? And then the second one is, how can I answer so many questions that they're like, yeah, this is actually the company that I want to work with.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I love that. I love I do love the personal nature of things. You know, it makes it easier to find the right person or the right
Exactly.
firm or whatever to do what needs to be done. You know, looking at it from the perspective of, you know, dipping the toe in the pool. You want to be a first mover in the age. Where do we start? What is that? What are those first 3 things that we need to do?
Yeah. Well, kind of tie into the last piece. If you care about being that personal local business, then you got to make sure that you have personal local business vibe online. Because a lot of guys, they're just like, no, I'm just a local hometown guy. I get referrals and word of mouth. Cool, that's fine. But if you want referrals and word of mouth and local hometown guy online, you just talk about that stuff online and
Hmm.
you can get the same thing and
Hmm.
even better because then people are going to trust you that way.
Hmm.
So if I was going to distill this down into 3 things, the first thing is start making real content about your business. So whatever stories you have in your head, whatever comes up throughout the day, whatever real customer questions come in your sales process or on the phones or whatever, start making content about that because that's
Hmm.
what's going to be the real stuff.
Hmm.
Number 2 is commit to doing this, not to get customers, but to build the database of content that AI can trust and also that you have in your backlog so that way you can use it in some type of an avatar.
Hmm.
And then the third thing I would say is don't just because a lot of business owners hear this like, bro, this is too much work. Don't just say, don't just say like, hey, oh, okay, Phil, now I gotta be a content creator and I gotta do this and do that. You're a business owner, you're trying to scale your business. The third thing is don't just have this be you. Enable your team to make
Hmm.
content. Enable your
Hmm.
team to take their call transcripts and turn it into SOPs for your business. Make this a part of your culture that we don't just want to hide things under a rock, that we want to actually put it out into the universe so that way we can help more people.
What about the solo guy? I'm thinking of a friend of mine who's a plumber. He's in, you know, kind of in the space. I think he started his company in January. And so he's just got his website. He's just building traction. He's got, you know, Google reviews and that sort of thing. It's like him and his wife are doing the work. How did they get started? How do they just think about the future and say, what do I need to be doing now? As you were alluding to, what do I need to be doing right now? What are the 5 things I need to do every single day so that I'm prepared for when I can work with Phil.
Yeah. Well, what I can tell you is this is that they actually have the biggest advantage because when I talk to these bigger home service guys, it's like, how am I going to get my technicians to be taking pictures on the job and doing videos and making content? Like, that's not in their job description.
Yeah.
The guys that are just starting out, so I mentioned that I do stuff with Jobber. I was out in Vegas recording with them and I sit down in the green room and there's this guy, he's like 25 years old. And I'm like, hey man, and we were doing an episode together. I'm like, what do you do? He's like, I haul junk in Georgia. He's in Georgia, actually.
Okay.
Like, I haul junk. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, why are you here? And he's like, I have 500,000 Instagram subscribers or followers. And I'm like, the heck? How did you get that? And all he did was he was one guy hauling junk. Okay.
Yeah.
He got meta glasses that he could record. Every single job he told the client, I record content, one for your safety, one for my safety. And then sometimes I turn it into content for my business. And what he does is he just talks through the process of him doing it. So, like your buddy who's a plumber, it's like, click on, hey, I'm out here at this toilet. It looks like their wax ring wasn't put on correctly. You see right here what this happens over here. So, there's actually a crack right here. And this is the problem. This is why when you hire a company, you need to make sure that you ask them what's level of the wax ring they're going to do. How high is it going to be? What are they going to do to make sure that it's the right fit for your business or for your
Mm,
home?
mm,
That
mm.
off. Okay.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Like they have an advantage because they're right there. They're the expert and they're on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's another tool called Opus. clips.
Yep.
It's an AI. I'm sure you probably know about it. Take that click, put it into Opus. It's going to throw a couple captions on there, tighten it up for you. Boom.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm going to be on the phone as soon as we get off our call.
Yeah. That gets you the authority content. It gets you
Yeah.
real content in your local neighborhood. You could say, I'm out here in my neighborhood, this house or this city. It's all the stuff is there. It's
Yeah.
just about putting it together and not making it this big production.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that. Beautiful, beautiful. Last time you were on the show, you didn't get to. I didn't get to ask you my question. So my newest question, name of the show, of course, is the Relentless Pursuit of Winning podcast. And winning is always something that we all, we should be able to define. The hard part is that relentless pursuit. What would you recommend to someone, to a listener or viewer, to help them or to encourage them to maintain that relentless pursuit?
Yeah. This is something that I faced in my business when I hit like a certain income level for me. And I was like,
Hmm.
okay, I was like 32, 33. And I'm like, am I going to do this for the next 30 years? Like this thing, like, cool, I'm making enough money.
Hmm.
But is this really what I want to do for the next 30 years? And I mentioned at the top, like I'm a Christian. And
Hmm.
am I going to take my talents that I was given and bury them under a rock? Because we know the parable, the story. You don't do
Hmm.
that. You go out and you
Hmm.
multiply them. And for me, it hit me square in the face like, okay, I can't just sit back and not do this because I'm actually called to take these talents and multiply them. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that means multiply them from a financial perspective, from an impact perspective, from a content perspective, but whatever it is, I'm going to give it my shot to do the best that I can. Truly, when someone sees someone going at it like that, it's like, okay, this person's relentless pursuit of winning is that, but it also is like a relentless pursuit to like do the right thing with my talents. And I think it goes hand in hand. Like you can't not win if you give it all you got to do your talents the right way.
Yes, 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 yes. Give it all you got. Give it all you got. Phil, thank you so much. I've enjoyed our conversation. If someone wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, well, if you are a home service business owner and AI search thing is kind of crazy to you, you can go to Flash Consulting, PHLASHconsulting.com, and you can click discuss your business. Also, I hang out on LinkedIn and Instagram. It's just Phil Risher, PHILRISHER, and happy to connect there and be a resource.
Awesome, awesome. Phil, thank you so much for being on the show again. I appreciate it. Enjoyed our conversation.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. Appreciate you, man.
You bet, you bet. And folks, thank you so much for watching or listening to another episode of the Relentless Pursuit of Winning podcast. We'll catch you next time.